Hello, I'm Beverly Thompson. Welcome to City Life, dedicated to keeping you informed on Durham's important news and events. I'm sure we can all agree that our neighborhood should be walkable, safe, and environmentally friendly. For many of us who call Durham home, we can comfortably say that about our streets and our neighborhoods. But what for many of us is the norm is not necessarily the case for everyone who lives here. For the past year, the Northeast Central Durham Livability Initiative has quietly and quickly made significant progress on improving the quality of life for thousands of Durham residents, people who call this area of Durham home. Joining me now to talk about this effort and the resident-led initiative and how it's truly making a difference in the quality of life for residents, not only in Northeast Central Durham, but for the entire city, is Melva Henry and Wanona Satcher. Melva is a community engagement manager with the city's Neighborhood Improvement Services Department, and Wanona is one of the resident leaders involved in the Northeast Central Durham Livability Initiative. Welcome, Melva and Wanona. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks.
Melva, let's get started with you. Tell me a little bit about Northeast Central Durham and why this community was chosen as a place to launch this initiative.
Well, Northeast Central Durham is approximately 300 inner city blocks. It's a community that's rich in history, and it's also historically known as a community that has several challenges. Those being with the perception of crime and crime itself, and then poverty, as well as the disinvestment from an economic standpoint.
Okay.
And with that said, that's one of the reasons why Northeast Central Durham was chosen for the Livability Initiative project.
Okay. Now, for many of our viewers, this may be the first time they've heard about this initiative. Can you provide us with a quick summary of what this initiative is all about and how it got started?
Well, certainly. It's actually something that came down from the federal level. And with that said, it was federal HUD and the federal EPA as well as federal DOT. They were interested in determining how they can work outside of their silos. They visited Durham in April of 2010, and they decided that Northeast Central Durham, with all of the things that it has going forward at this particular time, be it Eastway Village, the Hope 6 Franklin Village position, the resurgence of the Andrew Driver corridor, they felt like this would be a good place to kick off the Livability Initiative.
Okay, all right. Melva, why do you think this Northeast Central Durham Livability Initiative is important, and what kind of impact do you think it's going to have on the rest of Durham?
Oh, it's extremely important. First of all, because Northeast Central Durham had a great foundation. They had the Northeast Central Durham Leadership Council in place, which is approximately 20 very diverse individuals who live, work, and play in Northeast Central Durham. And that foundation was there. Why is it going to impact Durham?
Yeah.
It will, because it's going to force us, it's going to take us by the hand. Well, you know, Durham is historically resource rich, but collaboratively poor. And with that, we realize that we need to make a concerted effort to collaborate and work outside of our silos. And that's what it'll allow us to do.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, Nada, I know you're a resident of this area, and you're involved in what they call schemes, right? Multiple schemes for this initiative. Before we get started with discussing your particular involvement, tell our viewers about yourself and how you got involved in this initiative.
Sure. Well, I'm a local landscape architect intern and urban designer here in Durham. Work with Dan Jewell, and coming here for work and out of college, one of the places that you want to move to, or a place that you want to move to, is a place that has a sort of entrepreneurial and diverse spirit. And definitely Durham, North Carolina has that. And Northeast Central Durham has a wonderful and rich cultural history, and it's wonderfully rich in potential and diversity as well. And so it's a wonderful mix for someone like myself, and especially coming from a design background where I was taught at Auburn University that when you're doing a regional or urban design, you definitely want to always have citizen-led responses as part of that main, as the design as a main component. And so this initiative in Northeast Central Durham is a wonderful, practical example of what I want to do and what I want to be part of.
Okay. Well, Wanona, of the 4 schemes that are currently operating, which ones are you involved in, and why did they interest you?
Sure. I'm kind of involved in all of them, To a point, but specifically I'm more directly involved with the coordinated public transportation scheme. Mobility, as everyone knows, is extremely important, and it touches on housing, it touches on economic development, how you move goods and services and people from place to place. But what the federal government is saying is that, more so now than ever, we really should be careful and be cognizant of how we, when and where we move people and goods and services in the most sustainable way, and also the best environmentally safe. What's most environmentally safe. And so I love looking and being a part of pieces or components of a particular initiative like this that addresses everything at once, which is hard, it's a lot of work, but it's very interesting and fun, because you get to meet the citizens, you get to really see the causes and the problems that arise from poor transportation services, not having enough transportation options, senior citizens, how do they get around, economic development like the Andrew Driver Corridor, having access to healthy foods and affordable food. So you really see how moving from place to place affects everything else, and the stresses of everyday life. And so I'm not the citizen that leads that particular scheme, but I'm more directly a part of it.
And you're involved in other schemes as well?
Yes, involved in other schemes as well, and projects, and just try to lend sort of a design consultant piece to it, not just a citizen piece, but sitting back as a designer, not at the forefront, allowing the citizens to be in control of their history and what they want to leave as a legacy.
So does living in the area give you a special understanding?
It does, and I think that's what's really cool about it, especially from a designer's standpoint, because most designers and developers typically aren't part of the community that they work in, and a lot of these agencies aren't a part of this community. So it gives me a wonderful platform to be able to explain from a designer's standpoint what I want to see as a citizen to federal agents like DOT and City Council and academic agencies like Central or UNC Chapel Hill or Duke University about the community I live in. Not coming from a surveyed resident, but someone that lives here all the time, experiences everything. And the initiative is a grassroots community initiative, and so I don't know how much more grassroots you can get if you don't live there.
True.
So so it's
Well, what do you see as some of the accomplishments?
A lot, actually, and directly as far as the coordinated public transportation scheme is concerned, we are heavily involved and moving forward with the Alston Avenue widening project. We are in discussions with TTA at the table, and all the other agencies like DOT and Federal Highway Administration that come to all of our meetings, which is fantastic. Talking about trying to bring back the old streetcar and trolley system to Northeast Central Durham, which will be fantastic. We were able to get a new street light put in at the Alston Avenue and Main Street intersection for the bus shelter to make it a safe place to catch the bus for citizens and residents. We actually did do that as one of the goals. Some of the projects we're about to start working on, one of them included is looking at a safe bike to school program for the kids and using the bike sharing bike donation program we already have. So the initiative is really trying to build off existing resources and to make better solutions from those.
Melva, take me back just a bit. Why did you all call them schemes? These areas of focus, I guess.
We toyed with arenas, we toyed with groups, and we thought that scheme would be a catchy thing for us to move forward with. Because we have, within Northeast Central Durham, we have several committees, subcommittees, and working groups, and we thought that schemes would set the livability initiative apart.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about the other three schemes. You talked about transportation, and what kinds of issues are these schemes tackling?
Oh, certainly. Well, there's the multifunctional green space or open space scheme, and they're looking at how they can best utilize the open space, the green space that we have in our community. Looking at how they can make sure that our green canopy is maintained, if at all possible, because of course we know we have some beautiful trees in Northeast Central Durham, but they're aging out. And as a part of their scheme, what they decided to do was to partner with Eastway Elementary School, and they planted trees. They've also done raised gardens, and they've also done flower beds.
Okay, all right. They've been pretty busy, huh?
They have.
All right.
And then with, of course, the Workforce and Economic Development Scheme, they are working on marketing Northeast Central Durham. And they've developed a marketing slogan, Northeast Central Durham, where access meets opportunity. And all of the other schemes are incorporating that slogan in their projects and their programs and events that will take place over the next year or so. Yeah, and then we also have the coordinated public transportation piece. And as Wanona said, they're doing a lot of work around bus services. And they've also, as my understanding, had a couple of shelters added to the community and been able to contribute by providing some information for some of DATA's most recent surveys. And then we have the Safe and Healthy Environment Scheme, and they also have been fairly busy. Most recently, they partnered with several other entities, Clean Energy Durham, Partnership for Healthy Durham, Partnership for Durham Parks and Recreation, and I think the PAC, District 1's PAC, to put on Northeast Central Durham's first Bull City Open Streets project. And that's where we had a driver blocked off from Andrew to Taylor, and we encouraged the community members to come out, to put eyes on the street, to have the children ride their bicycles up and down the community. And it was a nice day. Individuals were happy to see that their community is now becoming the vibrant community that it once was.
Been busy.
Oh,
I tell
yes.
you. I don't have to tell you that the Northeast Central Durham Livability Initiative recently celebrated its first anniversary. As a part of that community meeting, our very own DTV8 was there to capture this occasion. While we were there, we chatted with other residents involved in this effort. Here's what they had to say about this initiative and its impact on Durham.
This is part of giving back in a holistic, environmental way to turn around life. I do not live in Northeast Central Durham. That does not mean I'm not still connected. I would love to see the neighborhood thrive. I'm not trying to take it back 40 or 50 years ago, but to make sure it can grab a hold and go ahead where new families and new beginnings can start. Because that's what we owe the upcoming generation, to move a timeline from the past, the present, to the future. And that will help all of Durham, and it's very important to me that we get this done.
They spend all this money revitalizing downtown, but if you gotta get to downtown. We've developed this slogan where access meets opportunity. You gotta be able to get to downtown, and you gotta come through Northeast Central Durham at some point.
So if there are community people that are out there that are willing to participate and to make their community a better place, we welcome you to come and be a part of the Safe and Healthy Environment Scheme or one of the schemes with the Northeast Central Durham Livability Initiative.
It's important to me because it's where I work, it's where I live. It's part of where I grew up, so it's very important to me, and it's also important that we provide excellent service to the community.
Just that Northeast Central Durham is a thriving, viable, loving community. You know, we got a lot of bad press years ago. Things have turned around, and just come visit, come through, because it's funny when you're sitting on your porch and you see somebody walking by or driving by with a shocked expression because they haven't been in the neighborhood so long. It's a new place, and come enjoy it. We are.
Melva and Wanona, this question is for both of you. After hearing these residents speak and reviewing the accomplishments over the past year of this initiative, why do you think leadership by community members is so critical to the success of this initiative?
Oh, it is so good to hear the level of commitment in their voices, and to see the smiles on their faces as they talk about their community. It is very important to make sure that you have community leadership at the grassroots level, because that in and of itself enhances sustainability.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, exactly, and it is extremely critical. What I've learned that you get three things when you're dealing with citizens of an area besides the passion. Of course, you get accountability, but you get the diversity of the group and the community at large. You get the history of the place and what makes it what it is, and then with those two, then you get the passion that goes along with it. And so those three components really do give you a sense of what Northeast Central Durham is, what that identity, what that cookbook is, that I call what the recipe to make it work, and you get a sense of what the future should be. You can't get a better sort of holistic dinner out of without having those components, and it's really crucial to get the citizen input, which is why this initiative is nationally recognized. why it's going to continue to be and get even better, and why we've gotten so just many hands in the pot federally, which is amazing. You really don't see that from agencies.
Well, we certainly heard that passion in their voices. And Melva, I understand there are a lot of city departments that are involved in this initiative as well. Give us an overview of them.
There are several. And of course, Northeast Central Durham, for us, we have a division, community engagement, and we work inside the Neighborhood Improvement Services Department. And that department is taking the lead on this initiative. But we've also had individuals working with us from City County Office of Sustainability, the Department of Community Development, Workforce and Economic Development, City County Planning, inspections on city and county level, general services, of course, Parks and Recreation. The list goes on and on and on.
Okay.
And I mentioned the level of commitment within the citizen realm, but there's also a level of commitment with city departments as well.
Yeah, and you talked about a holistic dinner. I mean, man, that includes everybody, a broad range of departments as well as people. And this, I think it's made this whole project such a success, I think, for the first year. So what do you see as critical for the next year?
Maintaining the momentum, obviously, because as you see, it's there. And what we want to do is have all the schemes take a look at the Northeast Central Durham Revitalization Action Plan and align livability initiative projects and programs and events with the city's strategic plan as well. We certainly understand that that will help us create a well-managed city.
Sounds good. Now, if our viewers want more information about this initiative, what do they do?
You can call us at Neighborhood Improvement Services. You can actually call me. My name is Melva Henry, of course, and the number there is 560-1647, and my direct extension is 34259.
Okay, all right. And Wanona, my last question is for you. Okay, all that passion, all that energy that you put behind this project is so evident. What's in it for every other resident? Why should they become involved?
Right. Well, you're making history, and you know, for a lot of the complaints and challenges that we all have with where we live, the best thing to do is find a solution. Well, with that, having the funding and the technical help to do so. This is an opportunity where it's rare in history that you have seen a federal administration that backs the citizens, and so now you have a citizen can at the same table talk to an agent from HUD or an agent from NC Diener or Commerce, or an academic agent from Central or Duke or UNC, get information, exchange information, and then have a project with funding possibly to go along with it. So the citizen can now see, okay, we've talked and we've gone to PAC meetings, we've done all these things, but now we actually see the physical manifestation of what we've been trying to do. And so it brings a level of accountability and pride that everyone deserves to have. And it also connects Northeast Central Durham with the rest of Durham. It's not like we're just by ourselves.
Right.
We want to work with the strategic plan. We want the citizens to be engaged in work committees and commissions. We want the strategic plan to come to us as well. And we want the citizens to be able to speak on behalf of designers and developers, not that we have to do it, but that they have to do it. So it gives the citizens a voice. It makes them part of the effort of community and capacity building. It makes them the most important piece of the legacy that they will leave to the kids and grandkids. And it's just a wonderful opportunity. It's rare, and I say that all the time because it is. And because of our citizen-led approach and our model that we're using to do that, that has given us the credentials already of what we're striving to do. And so we can't go anywhere but up.
I hear you. Well said. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
This is a great project.
Thanks for having me.
Nationally
We're
acclaimed.
happy about it.
So we are happy. Thank you so much for being with me. We're going to take a break now, but coming up in the next segment, we'll take a look at how a new pilot program is allowing for texting for emergency help to Durham's 911 center. We'll be right back. Welcome back to City Life. I'm Beverly Thompson, your host. We all know that in a life-threatening emergency, the number to call is 911. But did you know that Durham's 911 Center will soon be accepting emergency text messages from Verizon Wireless customers as a part of a test pilot program? Joining me to talk about this pilot program and why the City of Durham will soon be the second in the nation to text is Jim Soukup. Jim is the Director of Durham Emergency Communications Center. Welcome, Jim. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
So, Jim, up until now, when folk needed to get emergency assistance, all they had to do was dial 911. So, why did the Durham Emergency Communications Center want to do this pilot program?
Well, texting is a wave of the future, and it's actually something that the younger generation expects. But there's also a need for it, especially for the hearing impaired community, which until now has to rely on TDDs and some relays to get information to the 911 centers across the state or across the nation. And also there is those circumstances where talking to a 911 operator could increase the danger that you're in. So there is a need for it in certain circumstances, and we're looking to be one of the first to offer this and to, I guess, work out the bugs and so that they can take it across the nation, and hopefully it'll be implemented across the nation before too long.
Okay, I understand that we are one of the second in the nation to actually do this project or offer this kind of service. What other city has done this, and how is it working for them so far?
Well, Black Hawk County, Iowa, which I'm sure everybody really knows where that is, but it's a very small community in the Midwest. And in the Entrado Corporation, who is also going to be part of our partners for texting, found a way to work with a small subcarrier of with a wireless provider out there to do texting and then see how it works. And that was broadcast across the nation as they're able to do this. They don't get very many texting calls, but they did have and do have some success stories related to it. Primarily, there was an instance in Black Hawk County, Iowa, where a woman was afraid for her life because her boyfriend came over and had a restraining order, and she was afraid something would happen, and hid in the closet and texted. And with that, she was able to get the police to her residence without the boyfriend knowing where she was, and the police came and made an arrest, and that definitely stopped something from becoming much worse than what it was. So there are some definite needs for this, and we're hoping that we can get this done and implemented.
Jim, I understand there's some very important restrictions with using this type of service. Can you give us an overview of what those restrictions are? Well,
there are several. First is the texting will not give us your location automatically, like your landline phones or most major wireless carriers will. We have to know where you are. Okay, texting is not something that's meant to be instantaneous. Depending on the congestion on the networks across the nation, where you can hit a test, send your message, it may be 5-10 minutes before it appears on the other end. So texting is not designed to be instantaneous, and it's not designed to be in those types of critical emergencies necessarily where you need that help immediately. So do not use it for that. And another misconception would be this is a trial with one carrier only, and that will be Verizon Wireless. If you have AT&T or any of the other ones, you won't be able to text 911. So Verizon Wireless is one of the major carriers, and they do have a lot of subscribers across the country. So we're happy that we're able to get with a major carrier and get that done. But it will only be if your cellular service is with Verizon Wireless that you'll be able to do this.
Okay, all right. Well, let's just say a Verizon Wireless customer does send a text. Tell us what kinds of things they need to be sure to include in that text message.
Well, one thing is please don't use any abbreviations like common text speaks of OMG or something like that. Spell out everything. And the most critical thing we're going to need right off the bat is your location, because we're not going to know where you're at all. From there, we will then ask you to describe what is the, tell me exactly what happened, what is going on, the nature of the emergency, so we can get the help moving while we're still texting and going back and forth to you. Actually, the name and cell phone number will be coming at the end, and we'll be advising anyone that the police or I guess EMS or fire, if it was that type of case, that they will be on their way as well. I would not think that there would be any reason that I can think of for an EMS call to be texted, but there could be, because that's something you want instantaneous. Most text messages, at least what Black Hawk County has experienced, are police related, and that's because they're afraid to use their voice or to be heard in certain circumstances, and also for the hearing impaired as well. But location will be the key for what we need right up front for you to tell us, so that if nothing else happens, we can send them out for 911 emergency unknown to that location and see what's going on.
Okay, for Verizon Wireless customers who wish to report something to the non-emergency line, they should still continue to do so by phone, right?
Sure, not only
not
Verizon
text.
Wireless, but anybody in Durham. If it's a non-emergency, it's 560-4600.
4600.
And the purpose of that is to get those calls that can wait a little bit, low priority, barking dogs, loud music. Yes, you need a police response, but it's not as critical as trying to get somebody to you because your house is being broken into right away, or your house is on fire, or you're having a heart attack. And we want to make sure those lines are open so that those calls can get through first and an operator can get to them as quickly as possible. And the non-emergency lines may ring a little while, but then anyone should realize that's because we're busy on the 911 calls. It rings into the same place in the center. It's a different button on our system, and that's all it is. And everything will be recorded and put into reports just as if you called the 911 line. But it is a way for us to make sure not the real immediate 911 calls are handled good or quick.
Okay, and I know you want to be really clear with this. This is a pilot test program.
Correct.
So when does it start and when does it stop?
It's slated to start in mid-August and go for about 6 months. Verizon Wireless has told us then they want to look at the data, see what went right, what went wrong, what they can do to improve, and different things like that. We've asked them, since you put that on there, it's might be a little confusing or difficult to take that away. But they say they need to do that in order to ensure that that when they roll it out everywhere, that it's going to be as good as it possibly can be. But I would anticipate after the pilot ends in a 6-month period, after it starts, it won't take long to get that back.
Now, how are you going to notify people, Verizon Wireless customers, when the program starts?
Okay, we'll be putting it out through the media outlets everywhere we possibly can to and with a joint releases with Verizon Wireless, and along with Intrado, who is working with us, and Intrado is one of the backbones of the 911 system. And as many places, newspaper, media, radio, everywhere, it's just to get the word out to do this and use it.
So the customers can't miss it, huh?
They shouldn't, no.
They shouldn't. Well, in thinking about the new program after it ends, what's next as far as if this will be something that might be permanent for the 911 center?
Okay, we're hopefully, once we go into what's called Next Generation 911, which is slated also to be online, that's a new type of system for 911 services that is going to be going across the nation. And we're going to be one of the first, or the first in North Carolina to turn this on. And that's going to put our 911 system, I guess, without too much technical terms, on internet protocols, which will pave the way for the future to receive text messages, also to receive videos and pictures from cell phones as well, which, the advantages are huge.
I was going to ask you.
If you see a robbery in progress, and instead of trying to describe the subject to us, if you're able to take a picture of the person fleeing or snap a photo of the license plate and the car as they're fleeing, different things like that, and send that to the 911 center, which we in turn can send back out to responding units. There's a lot of advantages to getting this type of infrastructure in place so that we have a lot more eyes and ears and dependable type of information coming back to us. Because even though people are at the event and they witness the event, you can get completely different stories from things, but this will help close the gap, and we're really looking forward to it. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming into the 911 field in the next few years.
Here again, Durham's a leader.
There you go.
Yeah, especially 911. Jim, since I have you here, I wanted to quickly ask you about a state law that just went into effect in June regarding how 911 Center will be handling calls, recordings. Can you briefly explain what this new law will do and why your center, along with the Durham Police Department, advocated to have this law changed?
Yeah, we fought for this law very, very hard, and it's such an advantage to the citizens now, because one of the common complaints we would get would be that even though by state law before this revision said we can delete the person's name, phone number, and address before we release that recording to the media, who typically request 911 calls, you're recognized by your voice. A lot of us have very distinctive voices, some more distinctive than others.
Right.
And even though you're not identified, I know who that is.
Yeah.
And that has resulted in some investigations being compromised because of that recognition. We thought at first we could see if we could ban releasing 911 calls altogether, but this was the compromise where we can now alter the voice, and by altering it, we can make it totally unrecognizable as to who it is, and yet you can understand the words. Or we have the ability to release the call as a transcript, and this is by law. So the law basically states that we do not have to release, along with the name and address and phone number, the natural voice. So either by transcript or by altering the voice, citizens can feel safer in reporting 911. The call won't be broadcast on the media where they can be recognized and possibly intimidated later. That's not going to happen anymore. We're not going to release it unless it's through an altered voice or transcript method. So this is a plus and should make the citizens feel safer reporting anything.
Right. Definitely a win-win for both of us, I think.
Absolutely.
For the media as well as the city, and for citizens most of all.
Absolutely.
So Jim, if our viewers want more information about the Durham Emergency Communications Center or the parameters of this text messaging program that's set to begin later in August, what do they need to do?
They can call our administrative office, and that's 919-560-4500. That's the administrative office, not to be confused with 4600, which are going to the 911 call center. But you can call that, and if our administrative assistant isn't there, you can go through the prompts, leave me a message, or email me as well, and I'll be glad to get back to you. But yeah, we want to get the information out and clarify anything that may be in the viewer's mind as to how this will work and what it can do. But it is a trial. I'm sure we're going to find out things that okay, we need for it to work this way before it's rolled out permanently, or things like that. But if the viewers remember, number one, it's not instantaneous. Do not abbreviate. Give us your location right off, because that's what we're going to ask. Know where you're at, and then be prepared, to tell us the nature of the emergency and things like that. That will help us, and it could make the difference in a situation like it did in Black Hawk County, Iowa, and hopefully we'll have some of those success stories as well.
Okay, all right. Any other parting information you'd like to share, or did that about cover it?
I think we've covered a lot today.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for joining me, and again, thanks so much for being such a leader in the community and the whole 911 emergency communications arena.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, that does it for this edition of City Life. If you have a comment or a future show idea, Email us at publicaffairs@durhamnc.gov or call us at 560-4123. You can also visit DTV8 on Facebook and Twitter to find out how to tune into this show, City Hall This Week, and all of the city's programming. You can also find us on demand on the city's website at durhamnc.gov/DTV8. I'm Beverly Thompson. Thank you so much for joining me to learn more about City Life in Durham.